Hey everybody, Jillian here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a brand new Bible journaling process video for you. And before I get into that, I want to talk again about inspiration. I created a Bible journaling entry a couple weeks ago. I'll go ahead and share it here, where I talk to you about the specific inspiration that led to that video. So today I wanted to do another Fruit of the Spirit journaling video for you today, and I'm going to be talking about peace. But on a recent shopping trip, I noticed these three things that I had purchased in the same day. This is a wonderful book by Jen Wilkin called None Like Him. It's this beautiful, like greenish blue color. My current favorite nail polish, which is an Essie shade called Splash of Grenadine. And this Target Handmade Modern acrylic paint in the color Blood Orange. So when I had these two guys in my cart and then paired it with this when I got home, I was like, oh man, that is such an absolutely beautiful color combination. I would love to do a Bible journaling entry using those colors. And next up in my, I'm not calling it a series, Journaling the Fruits of the Spirit series, is peace. And I knew I wanted to use this heart tip-in, which from Illustrated Faith, which actually has this beautiful like purplish color on the back. I mean, just so perfect, right? So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull some things from my stash, maybe some distress ink, maybe more acrylic paint, maybe a stencil, some patterned papers, maybe some Neocolor crayons. I think I can pull out the colors really quickly here. I'm not sure what I'm going to use, but I know for sure that I am going to talk about peace. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start, I'm going to use the acrylic paints that I had showed you, the Blood Orange from Target's Handmade Modern line, and then this really pretty fuchsia color. It's called Fuchsia from Craft Smart, and it's just satin acrylic paint. And I'm looking here to figure out where I want to put this peace tip in. The verse is there towards the top. I would be inclined to place it at the top, but I don't want to cover up any of the verse. So I'm going to move it down towards the bottom a little bit since it's the end of the book of Philippians. I'm in Philippians 4, naturally. And I'm just going to go ahead and build the largest part of my entry down there. So I'm using Elaine's baby wipe technique to get some color on the page. Here's the thing I've noticed about these fuchsia type colored paints. No matter the manufacturer, well, with maybe the exception of Illustrated Faith, I have not found an acrylic paint that is this color that doesn't separate or doesn't get like super thin when you apply it. Like the pigment in this paint, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like watery, like it separates on the page. So that's why I used a bit of that lilac Target paint to put down first, and then I put the pink over it. The Illustrated Faith acrylic paint that I'm talking about is more pinky than purplish, and that's why I didn't use it. It's called Rose, I think, but that's my favorite color. Pink paint, hands down. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should have used that. Alas, I can't go back. So I put some of that blood orange paint down over the purple. I really like how it looked blended together with the purpley fuchsia color. And now I'm going to take this Tim Holtz stencil. I've used it a ton of times, but instead of using distress ink like I thought about doing, I'm going to go ahead and use this jade color Target paint. If you've seen any of my stenciling videos before, you know that I do not have a good track record with acrylic paint and stencils. Today is no exception. I think this is maybe the best application since I used a dauber to really thinly put on the acrylic paint. But I didn't love the color. It was just such a dark contrast to the acrylic paint that was already down on the page. But there really was no way of covering it up, and I didn't want to add white paint and then more paint, and then I just rolled with it. I figured I would cluster things on top of it, around it, to downplay it a little bit, and that's just what I ended up doing. Plus, it's really hard, at least for me, to clean off acrylic paint from my stencils, and that's one of my favorite ones, so I'll probably just stick to using distress inks with that guy. And I have paint all over my fingers, paint, ink, So fun. So I'm bringing out my trusty Fruit of the Spirit clear stamp that I've been using for all 3 entries so far. I've got the die cut paper pieces there. I don't think that I end up using those. And then this 6x12 cardstock sticker sheet. I don't think I end up using those either. And then I've got a couple stamp sets here. This one that has a little speech bubble that I plan to use is from an older Illustrated Faith devotional kit from Dayspring. It's no longer available, but like I showed you in my last video, I think it was, I like to keep them all in a binder so that I can just flip through and see what I have and remember to use it. And then that other one that has all of the text on it, that's actually from Studio Calico. It's an Illustrated Faith sold by Studio Calico. If it's still available, I'll see if I can link it for you. So I thought about making this little piece tip-in instead of just gluing it down to the page. I thought about using a little washi hinge there so I could flip it back and forth. I decided not to do that, but did remember that I really wanted to use this black and white grid washi tape. It's basically a neutral, so I had fun adding it to the page to be one of the base layers. Something you may have noticed about all 3 Fruit of the Spirit entries that I've done is they're all mixed media, more like art journaling entries for me instead of just like one layer things. So that's been really fun to play around with. And I think with every single page, maybe with the exception of the first one, I've had thoughts of like, I do not like where this is going. I don't know about this. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I just persevered, and you can always cover things up. So the more I kept adding to it, the more I think I liked it. So I'm looking here at the All People, All Nations 6x12 sticker sheet. There was like a little purplish cross and then a couple, and then like this aqua colored star, and I thought that would be good to kind of build up the clusters that I'm working on. And then I don't know if you can tell in the video, but this entry I think took me like 3 different sessions of sitting down to work on before it was completed. So you'll see my shirt change, you'll see my nail polish like gradually chip off my nails from the beginning to the end of the video. So this is a She Blooms sticker book. I got it from Michael's, and it has, I think, it says it has 10 sheets of stickers, 545 pieces, so a lot of bang for your buck with that sticker book, and a lot of the neutral things that I was looking for. And then here, looking through the washi tape also from Michael's, from She Blooms, but I didn't really see anything that I wanted to use in there. So you can see I've got that My Father Tells Me speech bubble stamp up at the top. I think that's where I want it, but I'm not ready to commit yet. And I'm looking for something first to help me build up my cluster. So I'm going to the 12x12 patterned paper from the Fruit of the Spirit collection, and there's like this cut apart page, and these are some of the faux washi type strips. So I'm going to fussy cut all of these peaches out and use them to build up my clusters. If only cutting those out were that fast. So I'm going to go ahead and put these guys down, and then one of them flipped over and I was like, oh, I really like that pattern on the back. It really brightens up the paint and just that area of the page. So I decided to just put the adhesive on the peach side and then leave this little like peach outlined patterned paper showing on the front. So at this point I'm ready to commit to the stamp here, and I just love this stamp. I love using this on Bible journaling pages to pull out what God is revealing to us through His Word. This is one of my all-time favorite stamps. I kind of fuss with these guys a little bit. Like I said, this was one of those times where I was like, I'm not sure that I like how this is coming together. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in 3 places on the page, creating a little triangle there. And I'm letting a couple hang off the edge so that I'll go back in, flip the page over, and trim off the excess. Nothing new here, friends. then I'm trying to find out where I can put these stickers, where will they look best. That pink cross is kind of getting lost up in that pink area up top, so put it to the side and move on to something else. So I'm going to go ahead and find homes for these adorable, like greenish and aqua colored stars. And then that cross, I think, is just going to go so nicely there on top of the heart next to that upside down peach. And then my favorite stamp that I've been using for every entry so far, I think, is this asterisk from the Fruit of the Spirit stamp set. Sorry, the bottom of my Bible is out of the frame there. So at this point, I think I like how it's coming together. So this passage in Philippians 4:6-8, say it with me, says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." So in that little speech bubble there, I wrote, "My Father tells me he will give me incomprehensible peace." And then I'm going to move down to the bottom of the page and just talk about a little bit about my experience with peace. And oh boy, this anxious heart could testify to dozens of ways that I've experienced his peace in the last couple years. But it all boils down to this: the more I learn about God, the more I trust him. I have questions, sure, but they are not deal breakers for me. I learn about his character by reading my Bible, and since I've already mentioned it, John Wilkins' book, None Like Him, explores 10 ways that God is different from us, and it's excellent. I have a peace that is incomprehensible because the Holy Spirit reminds me of who he says he is. And that's a little bit about what I'm journaling about here on the bottom of the page. And then I have a little more room on the bottom right corner, so I'm just going to take my date stamp and fill in some of that space there. Now at this point, I'm really not loving the way that speech bubble looks. So here's how I'm going to fix it. I'm going to go ahead and take this piece of patterned paper from the Fruit of the Spirit collection and go ahead and stamp this speech bubble onto this like solid-ish piece of cardstock. Cut it out, fussy cut it, and then go ahead and write the exact same thing in the speech bubble and then see if I like how it looks on the page better. So here I'm looking. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I think I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and write, "He will give me incomprehensible peace." But here's the thing. I misspelled incomprehensible. No big deal. I have perhaps 11 by 12 more inches of this piece of patterned paper. So I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. Stamp it down, cut it out, and then write the phrase in there. Looking at it now, I think I prefer the stamped speech bubble, but I'm beyond. There's no way I can remove it now. So then I'm thinking, man, this is a lot of peach on the right of my page. A lot of peach. So I'm going to go in with this Neo color, and I'm just going to create some little dash marks. The color is Jade Green, and if you're curious about the other two that are off to the side, I also pulled the purple, which is that pinkish color, and then saffron. So I thought those, if you wanted to use Neo colors, would be those are the colors of that medium that I would choose if I was going for the same type of look. So I'm still looking at the page thinking, man, there's like a few gaps that I want to fill in, that space between the tip-in and that speech bubble. There's a lot going on, but I still want a little bit more. So I'm going to go to my handy-dandy Illustrated Faith watercolor set and put some black paint splatters down on the page just to tie it all together. And that is going to do it for me. Here's a finished look at my page along with a couple of close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in checking out any of the supplies I've used, I've got them linked in the video description below. Or if you want more info, you can check out my corresponding blog post as well at hellojillski.com. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.